This episode is sponsored by UPMC Altoona Elite Orthopedics and the UPMC Sports Medicine Concussion Program. UPMC Altoona Elite Orthopedics and the UPMC Sports Medicine Concussion Program are proud to support youth sports across our region and proud to sponsor the 2022 High School Football Preview on the Altoona Mirror YouTube channel. To learn more about their board-certified orthopedic surgeons, their specially trained concussion management experts, and the wide range of orthopedic conditions they treat, or to schedule an appointment in one of their facilities in Hollidaysburg, Ebensburg, or Bedford, visit upmcaltoona.com/ortho or call 814-889-3600. That's 814-889-3600.
To look at the central hat again.
Come on. Well, hey, you want to drink the BG Kool-Aid with me?
I'll take BG.
Hey, John, good seeing you. Have
You
fun.
too, Neil.
All right, take care.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Week 13 of the high school football season here on Mirror TV on YouTube. This is our another special playoff edition. We have 3 games to look at. We have a special guest here, and then we have our 2 regulars, our football gurus, Mike Boydum, Andy Stein, and this guy next to me, kind of related to me. We had him last year, I believe, if we're correct, right? John Franco, who's available this year at this time. We got him because he's played 3 of the 6 teams on here. He did scrimmage one of them, but John's going to help us when we break down these games, and we're going to go right to it. Well, first of all, we didn't get anything, right? Nobody sent us anything. It's like 2 weeks in a row now that nobody has sent us anything.
Disappointing. Season's over.
And in fact, Maggie made this. Your niece, my daughter. Wow. Maggie built that anything. But yeah, we haven't gotten anything since, gosh.
Week 10?
Week 10,
Junior
maybe.
Valley.
Junior Valley sent Altoona sent us a hat. That's about the last time.
We could use a towel from BG.
But if our local teams
Northern Cambria could send us.
we take it. We
I
are.
want it on record that I have given him several Tyrone items. So.
And Dan, we got a coffee cup from Dan's mom in the school office. You know, Dan's mom works in there. But anyway, so yeah, now unless these teams lose, then this could be our last show of the season,
We're
right?
just upset at Andy for not smuggling that Tyrone football helmet from the Daily Herald.
I should have took a party gift with me.
You could have. But we're going to look at our first game, and it's the helmet right here. Bishop Guilfoyle versus Penns Valley. Friday night at Mansion Park, District 6 Championship. Mike and Andy, I'll let you even ask John a couple questions here. Well, first of all, what are you expecting from this game?
Well, first of all, let's talk about the fact that Bishop Guilfoyle's in this game because every year we go through this where BG says that we, didn't think that they could do it. Well, this year, I will admit, I didn't know if they could beat Richland.
I didn't pick Buck Frank picked them, though.
I was very impressed that they were able to beat Richland, especially because how they had done against Richland the past few years. It had not been good, but their senior leadership really showed out in that game. And credit to BG, because whenever they went up to 2A, a lot of people said, well, that's it for them. And here they have a chance to win a district championship.
Were you surprised?
Absolutely. I mean, Richland, like we were talking about just last week, they're a powerhouse. Yeah, I know the BG Casey Wetter is amazing, and he's, from what I hear, he's everything as advertised. But hey, I thought that move up to 2A was going to bite them this year, and it didn't. So at least not yet. So,
but hey,
good job.
But hey, kudos to then us having you on, because you were not surprised. You and I had talked over. You were not surprised that BG won this game.
Well, we scrimmaged BG and Richland at the beginning of the season, and they were nice enough to help us out because we had lost a scrimmage and we weren't able to
It was a try scrimmage, correct?
It was a try scrimmage, yeah. And we were able to scrimmage both of them, and I thought that all three of us were very even. I mean, we scored 2 touchdowns against each other, and even though scrimmage, you can't tell a lot, but you can measure the talent levels. And I thought, with this BG team, the skill kids they have back are phenomenal, and they can play with or beat anyone. And I know Richland had lost some kids. And even as strong as they were, I felt that BG could stay with them, and then then it's going to be who's going to make the plays in the game, who's going to be the playmakers, and BG probably has more playmakers than anybody around. So I wasn't, and then the Bourne Index. If you're familiar with the Bourne Index, which Joe Shuda always fills me in on it,
this is a mathematical.
It's analytics, high school analytics.
It's logistics. They've geeked out high school football. Now you go on this website, you type in Pennsylvania, you type in Richland, you type in Bishop Guilfoyle. The computer does the thing. He's a retired math teacher, Bill
Bourne. He sends me stuff every week, and I won't look at the stuff on my team. But I look at the other teams, and they had BG winning by a little less than a touchdown, and their percentages are like over 90% in 25 years.
And it's just based on records, opponents, and like what they average, stuff like that. Nothing.
And the majority of the 10% that they don't get are all from the first game of the year because they used last year's.
But he was wrong on one game that we'll talk about later.
Yes,
but
he was wrong.
But
yep.
As far as go ahead.
One of the questions I have is, they obviously BG thought about Richland all year when they made this move up there, and Penns Valley's no pushover. Like, how do you get over maybe the biggest game, the game you were looking forward to the most was the semifinal game? How do you then refocus and get ready for the district championship when there's still work to be done against a team that you've seen in Penns Valley that's a capable team?
Yes, because. And then we've been involved in these games, and my teams have been fortunate enough to play in a lot of playoff games, and you run into games like that. But because it's the playoffs, it's a different mental format. It's next step. And as up as they were for Richland, there's not going to be a letdown because they're playing for the championship. And then after the championship, it's the first round of the playoffs. So that's the one thing as a coach I always appreciated, is that you didn't have to worry about it. It's regular season. We got a long way to go. We can relax a little bit. It's playoff time. One game, you're done. If this team is playing us tonight, they must be pretty good. And especially in Double A, as strong as Double A was this year, they know that if they made it through to the finals, they've got to be a pretty good team. So I don't think they're going to have any trouble getting up for this because it's more important than the Richland game. It really is.
Do you have a question? Because I got one.
Yeah, I just want to touch in on the analytics one. I know you see this a lot in NFL, college these days. Analytics are becoming more and more a part of today's game, especially with head coaches getting hired as analytical guys. Just where do you see that being fit in Pennsylvania high school football here in the next couple of years, 5 years, 10 years down the road?
Well, I think it's much more difficult in high school because you're dealing with a younger athlete and you're dealing with statistics that aren't going to be like college and professional statistics are pretty thorough, and you're dealing with athletes that are pretty much developed and ready to go. In high school, there are so many factors. You've got emotional factors you don't have to deal with in college or the pros. You've got mental maturity factors, which, believe me, after coaching for 45 years, you see that every game, every year. So I think it's different. And then being, not to change the subject, but being a Los Angeles Dodger lifetime fan and watching how they let analytics roll themselves in the playoffs I just hate them.
Oh, it's becoming huge.
See, you hate the Dodgers even without.
Oh, I don't like the Dodgers at all.
Oh,
And I mean, baseball's becoming more of a numbers game more and more every year.
Except in the playoffs
In
are
the playoffs,
different, and that's the same thing in high school football playoffs. Playoffs
Sure.
are a different animal, and it's a much more fun animal to work with.
So my last question for you, but this game I didn't mention, it's Friday night at Mansion Park at 7. As far as I've read and seen where high school or college and pros will do this, is it as simple as Martin Tobias has to find somebody on his defense that has to be the spy on Guilfoyle? Because it just seems like, I got to think people think they got to stop him, and they still can't stop him, because if you take him out of the equation, I got to think they're easier to defeat than, because he just makes so many things happen. I watched that game on TV against Central, and I'm thinking, they're right there, but yet he gets away for.
Well, the concept of a spy on a quarterback is really kind of blown out of proportion. Very rarely, if ever, will a team just say, okay, one guy, if it's a pass, you're just watching him. What you do is based on where your coverage is. If you're in the middle hook zone, or if you're in the middle curl zone, and you don't have a receiver there, you need to be aware of that quarterback rushing. Also, does he scramble outside or inside? If it's Hohenstein, he's going to scramble outside. If it's Guilfoyle, he does both. But so you got to have your inside rush guys. It's more important that the rush guys keep their lanes. The two inside guys, they go like heck in the inside, and they've got to be aware that, hey, he may step up, and if he steps up, then you got to come off your rush and tackle him. The outside guys have to keep contained, make him set up and throw. Although he's pretty good at that, but he doesn't like doing that. And I know Jeff would much rather get outside and run around and play football. And I have never ever seen anybody better at that. I know I'm jumping ahead of a team there, but I think that's what you got to do. It's not really a spy. It's just an awareness based on your coverage. All right, you got to know that he's going to come potentially that way, and you got to come off your receiver and make that tackle.
So you believe either one of the? I mean, I think we all picked Penns Valley to lose, but you think Penns Valley? I mean, you think BG can win, but you also think Penns Valley has a shot.
They're pretty balanced too, aren't they?
I spoke to Justin Wheeler about him, and I said, you know what? They're really tough kids. They're really good kids, and they're well coached. We beat them for 3 out of 4 quarters. And then
I didn't want to bring that up.
Yeah,
Andy and I didn't think we were going to bring that up.
No, that's fine. You can bring that up. I mean, you should win the game if you outplay a team for 3 quarters. And they just played phenomenal football. And if they play like that, nobody's going to beat them. But they were making plays. That we hadn't seen made all year. And when we went back over it, our kids were in the right spot. They were doing the right things. They were playing hard. But that quarterback scrambling, that quarterback makes plays, and he's very similar to the BG quarterback. He just doesn't get the notoriety being up there. But Penns Valley will give them a game. I don't think they're talented enough to beat BG. But mark my word, they're tough kids. They'll never quit. They're going to come at you. And it'll be a really good AA championship game.
And BG knows all about rallying in the 4th quarter. That's what they did last year to win the district championship against Juniata Valley. One mistake, and they probably would have lost that game. So
Yeah, right.
John was talking about Jeff, and Jeff is Jeff Hohenstein, which is our next game, the Central quarterback. District 6-9 playoffs, Class 3A sub-regional game at Tiger Stadium Friday at 7, which is nice for us, because we can get a photographer there and a writer there with a decent amount of time. Central, Clearfield, you played both of these teams. I got to think, Central hasn't lost since the Penn Cambria game during the regular season. What are you expecting from this game?
Well, I expect Central to come out on top here because of their line has just developed more as the year has gone on. Those games that they lost early in the year, the line wasn't. They had the size and the talent, but they just hadn't played together. And I think they came along as the season went on. I know they were able to run the ball well against you guys, but that was kind of by design because you didn't have a lot of guys in the box that game and everything. But they've proven that Penn Cambria is a really good they dominated the line of scrimmage the first time they played, and for them to beat them 35-6, this team has made a ton of strides since that point.
Now, I know you know Tim Janoko from your days of working and playing at Mo Valley, and Tim's a Mo Valley grad and everything.
Yep.
Do you think, I mean, just having him as a coach gives them a shot, or is just that Central too
I mean,
much?
hey, I actually saw one of Clearfield's assistant coaches over the weekend, right after I saw the Central game on Saturday night, and he asked me, he said, "What do you think, Andy? Do we have a shot?" I said,
No, you don't.
"That's he put me on the spot." I said, "I just told him you have your hands full." And I know it's tough not having the Domico kid. I heard the Domico kid broke his ankle, so he's done for the season, however long it goes. But and that was the first time I saw Hohenstein last weekend, and I can tell you he's everything that I expected and maybe more. So the kid's the real deal for sure.
Well, here, you played both teams and everything. What does Clearfield have to do?
The one thing that Clearfield has in their favor, and it's funny because I got a call Sunday from A.J. Hohenstein, hey, what do you think of Clearfield, blah, blah, blah. Then half an hour later I got a call from Tim Janoko, hey, what do you think of Central? And of course I told them both, oh, you can both win.
So you should watch the YouTube show on the Mirror Channel, and I'll tell you about it.
But no, Central is, like Mike said, their problems early on were with their linemen. And as they got better every week, and we thought, as Mike also alluded to, that we said, hey, we're going to give you the run because Hohenstein is such a force that we've got to get our coverage to take care of them, and also our positioning, like we were saying, with our linebackers because of his scrambles. And we said, if they're going to beat us, they're going to have to run the ball down our throat. Well, they ran the ball down our throat.
Hunter Smith.
And not Hunter Smith, but that number 25, that roll kid, that kid is tough. Yeah. But their blocking was outstanding, and that wasn't prevalent at the beginning of the year. Now, what Clearfield has, Clearfield does not match up with Central skill kids. They're not quite there yet. Next year they'll have good skill kids, but Clearfield's offensive and defensive lines are outstanding. We played our best game in 2 or 3 years, probably in 3 years, from a lineman point of view against Clearfield because we knew they were so good. And we kept on it. I don't think did you the game, Mike?
I didn't have that game.
That was 14-7. You guys won that game.
No, it was 21-14.
21-14.
And we moved our pocket constantly just to get them running and to get them tired, and it worked. And then in the fourth quarter, we really kind of took over the game. But their linemen are really good, and they had 4 or 5 starters back from last year's team on both sides of the ball, and
just not Billet.
Yeah,
just
not Billet. Yeah, right. And they had another big kid last year that was really good. He was a transfer from Alabama, but that's another story.
I know who he is. He had a beard. We played them.
I think he was older.
We played them in the preseason. Yeah.
But yeah, so but that's where they can win. They've got to slow the game down. They've got to run the ball, which is what they want to do this year, and they can run the ball. Against Clearfield, we had 8 guys in the box constantly. We played man coverage, and we said, beat us by throwing. You're not going to do that. And we were able to stop them. I don't know if Dave will do that, but that's that they want to slow it down, run the ball, get first downs, and then as far defensively, Clearfield has some really good defensive coaches also, and they will. It'll be interesting, because as I was talking to Tim, I said, "Hey Tim, we took away Jeff and said beat us running the ball, and they did. Now, our linemen don't compare with Clearfield's, and now if Clearfield can shut them down with just 6 in the box, then they can beat them. But nobody's done it yet." And as long as you have Hohenstein, and I don't think people give him credit to how good he is defensely. That kid is all over the field.
He had one of the interceptions.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he had one against.
Well, he was actually all first team Mountain League defender as a freshman.
As a freshman.
Well,
and if he makes tackles all over the place, that kid may be one of the best football players at any level ever in Blair County, if not all District 6.
Well, the one story I always like to bring up, because you were there, you came to watch, when my sons were in 9th grade, he was the 8th grade starting quarterback for Springfield Junior High.
Yeah.
And that's the first, you had heard of him, but you came out and you were watching him dropping passes over shoulders, and you're like going, he's better than a lot of the high school quarterbacks in the area right now.
Well, keep in
As
mind,
an 8th grader, he was dropping,
But keep in mind, and I remind his dad of this all the time, and if he's watching this, you still owe me the money, because
Where did he learn that?
He was at my quarterback camp from 5th grade to 11th grade.
We don't have those anymore, though, do we? You don't have. That was a big fundraiser with the Franco family. Use that money for vacations.
Man, come on, AJ, give me my money here. Give me my money.
But we're going to go to our next game then, our final game on Saturday, the 1A championship, the number 2 seed Northern Cambria, Penns Manor the number 1 seed. Beginning of the year, Andy, remember Mike picked Cambria Heights was going to be there. We didn't want to bring that up again, but we did. Big Cambria Heights. Northern Cambria, what kind of a shot did they have in this, do you think?
Well, first of all, I wanted to say that it's obvious that I'm not going to get any Christmas presents from Cambria Heights this year because I have been accused of jinxing them for picking them to win.
In them. You should get something for that.
But the one good thing is I know I'm not going to get any coal from Cambria Heights since Northern Cambria has the coal bucket.
They have the coal bucket from the Coal Bowl.
However, Northern Cambria 41-0 win. I mean that it was 7-0 at halftime, but they just I am shocked. I was shocked by that result. Not just that Northern Cambria won, but by the fact that they were able to shut down Cambria Heights running game, because Cambria Heights, Tanner Tribus and Ty Stockley have been able to dominate the Heritage Conference ever since they've joined it, and that was just very impressive. And the fact that they have their passing game, Northern Cambria has never been known as a passing team, and now their current passer, Owen Booger, he has the single season passing record at Northern Cambria this year. So they are a versatile team, but they will have to deal with Max Hill, who is a really good player for Penns Manor. He doesn't throw the ball a ton, but he can get to the outside, like he was saying with Jeff Hohenstein. He has that ability too, and he can really run the ball. I saw them play Cambria Heights, and he looked great against them. That's the key to Penns Manor's team. So this will be a good opportunity for both teams, but I am worried about Max Hill on the turf at Mansion Park. I think he'll be really quick. It'll be interesting to see if Northern Cambria can slow him down, because they're used to playing on the grass field and keeping that grass nice and high and slowing everybody down.
Penns Manor's used to that field because they played, I guess, BG and teams like that in Mansion. Yeah. They had to. Were you surprised, though, because during the season, remember, they played each other. It was a close game. Cambria Heights, Northern Cambria. Yeah. Then the second time, it's almost like Central Penn Cambria. Close game first time, second game blowout.
A little bit. I mean, and the one thing that I was thinking about with Penns Manor here, for a 1 seed, I feel like they've kind of flown under the radar a little bit. I mean, they've only had that one loss with Winburn or Berlin. I can't remember what it was. But, I mean, maybe it's because we've been talking about Cambria Heights so much all season, and hey, Cambria Heights did have, but hey, Penns Manor's a really good team, though, that's for sure.
And I'm curious, because BG's not in that field, those teams had to love that they felt like they had a chance, anybody that entered that field, because with BG gone, people are like thinking, oh, we have a chance to win it, because when BG was there, it was like, oh, we got to play BG, because they're so good.
No, there's no doubt that would be a mental factor that I think everybody, all the single A schools, probably had a little bit more hope in there. And we did, like I said, we do know a little about Northern Cambria. We scrimmaged them 2 seasons ago, I guess now, and they run a defensive system and an offensive system that's difficult to, and I could see them why they're better as the year goes on, because they run a lot of triple option stuff that you don't see anymore. It's similar to Altoona, and then they did run a 3-3, 3-5 package that is not something you see every week. So they do some things that I think are always going to make them tough at this time of the year.
And another big thing about Northern Cambria is last year they only graduated 2 seniors. So they're bringing back like the same team that was there last year, and that can continuity, when you're running that kind of system, has
Yep.
got to be really
Absolutely.
valuable.
Now, is that anything that we can transition to your Mike's stat of the week? Do you have any stat of the week?
Well, it is a stat of the week, but
That's
this is
exactly
actually
the stat of the week.
we're going to be going back to Bishop Guilfoyle here. The stat of the week is 4 because Coach Wheeler told me that this is going to be the first time that this could be the first time that they've won 4 district titles in a row. So that is something that, these guys like Carson Kiesewetter and Cooper Roth, they have their sights set on, because BG's accomplished a lot in football over the last decade plus, and if they can put their stamp on, hey, we were district champions every year of our high school career, that's going to mean a lot to these kids.
I got to throw Drew Abraham's name in there too. He's a senior. And then our other segment we do here, taking advantage of our offensive lineman, defensive lineman who played collegiately, Stein's line.
That's right.
It's ahead! Short steps. Short steps are better than long steps.
Okay, believe it or not, I had not picked Bishop Guilfoyle all season, so I had
You didn't pick their line.
I didn't pick their
You
line.
picked them. Trust me, if you didn't pick them, you don't want them mad at you.
Absolutely.
Take that from me. You don't want that.
I did not
mad
pick
at
their
you.
line all season.
That's my
true.
BG Cup there too.
I did not pick their line all season, but hey, I kind of did that by design. I figured it would be around playoff time I would be able to use them. So Bishop Guilfoyle, you are the team this week, and you probably should be since you beat Richland. 240 rushing yards. I believe Kiesewetter had, 208 of them. It was impressive. But, those guys are offensive linemen, are offensive tackle Joe Eckenrode, offensive guard Ryan Hostler, center Ryan Donahue, offensive guard, here we go, Sante Bumbachi.
You have to say Sante Bombachi.
Very good name.
There you go.
Offensive tackle Carter Sheehan. Another guy that rotates on the line is Evan Rimbeck, and their tight end is Anthony Shafari. Good luck against Penns Valley.
And then the great transition to our final segment, the best part of this show.
I wanna know what's the name of the game.
This is where Mike gets disgusted and Andy pretends to like it. Our cool name segment for week 13. So
I'm sure Coach Franco looks through the halls of Tyrone and tries to find kids that have a cool name to come out and play football. Because that's the most important. That's the
What's
most
Rocky's real
important
name? What's Rocky's real first name?
It is important.
Oh, and his name's Rocco. That makes it even cooler.
That is cool.
But anyways, this week, week 13, Penns Valley, they had a bunch I could have picked from. Hunter Steak. Does that not sound like the name of like an outdoorsman with a show on the Outdoors Channel? Hunter Steak. He's a junior two-way lineman. And then from Northern Cambria, I like, because you know how I love alliteration, Austin Amsdale. Which, not because it's a beer, because I don't even know about beer. I don't drink beer. But I was told in the press room that was there in the
You know what? He's probably always first in all the stuff in alphabetical
Oh,
order.
hey, how about it?
Yeah.
He's an offensive defense lineman. Offensive lineman defense don't get a lot of love. So he's a junior from Northern Cambria, Austin Amsdale, Hunter Steak. But that's going to do it, and I appreciate Michael Stade for that thing. He does. Michael, you got to go back and watch your shows. He always comes up with a really funny thing
But
to
Mike,
do.
keep in mind, this is a guy that picked his teams based on if he liked the colors of their uniform.
I was 4 years old. I
Are
was
you
4 years
going to
old.
make next week's episode? Assuming we're going to have it.
We're going to have an
Well, I
episode.
mean, I hope we do. Central and BG should both
That's
get
true.
the wins this week.
Anyway, for Mike Boydham, for Andy Stein, for my brother here, my bro, John Franco, 9 years older than me. You can't tell because we don't look alike at all. My name is Scott Franco. Thanks for Dan Eisberg behind the camera there and everything. It's got to put this stuff all together for us when we're done. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.